Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to download and open up my Parallax background. And you're going to see, if you look at the layer menu, let me just, that I have a gradient or sky color, sun or moon, cloud layer 1, and cloud layer 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my sky folder, and I'm going to download some skies. So let me just download this one, and I'm going to also download, I think, this one. And I like this one as well. So let me just download. So I've downloaded 3 skies. So now I'm going to go to my Photoshop file, and I'm going to do File, Open. And let's see. I think I'm going to open this one. There we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my foreground and background color. So I'm going to make my foreground the lightest color that I see in the sky. Okay, and I'm going to, let's see. There we go, that's nice. I'll hit OK, and I'm going to make my background color the darkest color I see in the sky, which is this very dark purple. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my Parallax Sky template, and I'm going to find the gradient tool. Now, usually you can find the gradient tool hidden under the paint bucket tool, or sometimes you can just find it if you search for it. So let me see if I can find it. There we go, gradient tool. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the bottom, and I'm going to drag it up to the top. Unfortunately, I haven't set the gradient correctly. So what I want to do is go to Basics, and I want to pick foreground to background. Okay, so that will give me the gradient that I want. So let me see. And there we go. Okay, so I'm looking at my gradient and I'm not in love with it. I think I need to change the background color to something a little bluer. So let me go here to the background color, and I'm going to pick something a little bluer. I think that would work nicely. Let me see. That's a nice one. So I can just play around until I get the color I like. As a matter of fact, I can also move it here till I like it a little better. So I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go back to my template, and I'm going to pull another gradient. Okay, I can make my background color maybe a little brighter, and try again. There we go. Just go open up the little basics folder and click on this one, which will be foreground to background color. Okay, so I have my gradient. Unfortunately, I accidentally made it in cloud layer 2. That's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to just do Control Z a bunch of times, get rid of the gradient, and I'm going to go down to the gradient or sky color. Again, I'm clicking on the gradient tool, and now I go up here, open up the folder called Basics, and go to foreground to background color. And then I'm going to pull out my gradient, and there we go. There's my gradient. Now, the next layer I want is sun or moon. So I'm going to go back and look at my little sky that I have here. And the sun is this super bright color. But let me open up some of the other files that I have downloaded and see if they have some interesting sun colors. I like this one, so I'm going to open that up. And we got this very orange sort of sun. So first thing I'm going to worry about is I'm going to worry about the shape of the sun. So if you go to this tool, it's called the rectangle tool. But if you click and hold underneath it, you will find the ellipse tool. Now, I don't want to make an ellipse. I want to make a perfect circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the shift key, and I'm also going to hold down the option key. Let me hold down the shift key, and I will make a perfect circle. Okay. All right. Now, if you hold down the shift and the option key at the same time, you'll see that the circle will grow from the middle. So I'm going to just do Command Z. Okay. So I'm going to go into my sun or moon layer. I'm going to hold the shift key and start off a little circle. And then I'm going to hold down the shift and the option key together and make the circle grow bigger. Okay, and it'll grow from the middle. So now, right now, the stroke is black and the fill is nothing. So I'm going to just make the fill black and I'll make the stroke nothing. There we go. So it's going to be this black circle. And now the reason why I did that is because I'm going to do layer style, and I'm going to click on gradient overlay. Okay. And now I'm going to find a gradient. So there's this little down arrow I can point to, and you can see there's blues, there's purples, there's pinks, reds, oranges. I'm going to go for the oranges, and I'm going to just pick a gradient here that I like. Okay, and that's really nice. Now, in addition to, if I close this window, I can also change the angle of the gradient. So that's nice. And I think I'm going to make the gradient so that it's darker on the top and lighter on the bottom. Okay, and I can also change the scale of the gradient. Okay, and I can, let's see, I can also change the type of gradient. So this is a linear gradient. If I wanted to, I could make it like a radial gradient. Okay, but I actually think I like the linear, so I'll keep it linear. So what I did was, and I hit OK, and now I have a layer with the sky, and I have another layer with the sun and moon. Now the next layer I'm going to do is clouds. So for this one, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here. I'm looking at my clouds, and I think I'm going to open up my next file here, open, and I'm going to click on these clouds. I think they're very interesting looking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my lasso tool, which is the third tool from the top, and I'm going to just make a little circle around this cloud, and I'm going to copy it. So now I'll do edit, copy, and then I'm going to do file new, and I'm going to just hit create. I'm just making this little document, and I'm going to paste the cloud in here, and then I'm going to use my magic wand tool, which is the fourth tool from the top. It's a hidden tool under the quick select tool. So if I just click and hold, all the hidden tools will appear, and the one I want is the magic wand. So now I'm going to click on the little blue areas and I'm going to just hit the delete key on my keyboard and get rid of them. So, and then I'll go up here, select, deselect, and I just have my cloud. There's some areas out here, a little bit of patches I'll get rid of. Okay, so now I'm going to do select all, and then I'm going to do edit, and somewhere here is define brush preset. So I'm going to click on that. Actually, I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to hide the background layer because I don't want the white. I just want the cloud. So now I've done select all, and now I'm going to do edit, define brush preset, and I'm going to call this, instead of sample brush 1, I'm going to call it cloud 1. Okay, so I'll call it cloud 1, and I'll hit OK, and there's cloud 1. I've created this brush, and now I'm going to go back here to my cloud layer 1, and like any other brush, you can actually, I see it's on the eraser. I want it on the brush tool, and I got to find my brush. So let's see. It's called Cloud 1. There it is. I find Cloud 1 in my brushes, and I'm going to change the size of it to make it really big. There we go. That's too big. So I'll play around with the size. I think that's good. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the color. I think I'm going to make it white for now. Okay, and I'm just going to click, and there's my cloud. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can change the opacity. So I'm going to click again. Click again. Don't brush with this cloud brush. Just click. Okay. I'm going to click a bunch of times. And then I'm going to change the size of it, make it smaller. Not that small. Okay. And then I'm going to change the color. I'm going to give it a yellower color. Okay. And now I've changed the opacity, made it more transparent, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of just click, click, click. I'm not dragging it. I'm just giving it a little bit of yellow on the bottom. And then I think I'm going to switch the background and foreground color, and I'll give it a little blue up top. Okay, so now I've got some sort of interesting cloud thing going there. And now I'm going to do filter, and I'm going to go to blur gallery. Well, I'll go to blur, and I'm going to try a few different types of blur. So let me start off with the surface blur. And then I just kind of, nope, cancel. Oh, let's see. Filter, blur, blur. Let me try that again. Surface blur. So if I, so that's kind of interesting. Okay, kind of like that. All right, so I blurred it using the filter surface blur. And now I'm going to use the smudge tool. So let's see if I can find the smudge tool. I'm going to go here, and I see there's the smudge tool. Now again, the smudge tool is like any other brush. I can change the hardness. I'm going to make it a lot less hard, and I can change the size. I'll make it a little bigger. And let me see if I can, okay, let's see, I'm going to change the strength to maybe 50% so I get a softer blur. So I'm really playing around with the clouds here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the brush tool and back to my back to the brush that I made, Cloud 1, and I'm going to give it a few more clouds. So if you see that I'm just going to kind of play around with it a little, just clicking, I can even drag it a little. And you see I've changed the opacity. I can make it even lighter. So you can see the different layers. I can, again, go to the smudge tool. And then I can go up to the filter gallery again, blur, and I can, let's try a motion blur. Okay, so that's a little too much. I kind of like that because it looks like the cloud is moving. Now, one thing other than that I can do is I can move the cloud around and then I can change the opacity. So I can make the cloud look wispier and lighter. So I really like that effect. I think that cloud looks really cool now. I'm going to just do a few more smudges. And then I think I'm going to go to Cloud Layer 2. So for Cloud Layer 2, I'm going to find a completely different cloud. And I kind of like this cloud. So I'm going to take my lasso. I'm going to go around this cloud, edit copy, file new. I'm just going to use the clipboard, create, edit paste. And now I'm going to use my magic wand to get rid of the blue. Okay, and then I'm going to use my eraser. Oh, let me just make sure I can switch to a normal eraser. Go up here, general brushes, soft round eraser. I will make it a lot smaller. And I'm going to erase. Let me just do select, deselect, and then I can erase some of the extra stuff here. All right, so now I have my cloud. I'm going to hide the bottom layer because I don't want that white square. I'm going to do edit, define brush preset, and I'm going to call it Cloud 2. Hit OK. And I'm going to go back to my Parallax Sky template, and I'm going to change the size of Cloud 2, make it a little bigger. There we go. And I think I'm going to give it kind of a light gray. Okay. And I'm going to change the opacity, make it real light. Maybe I'll make it a little more opaque. It's the eraser. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. I need to find Cloud 2 in the brush tool. There we go, Cloud 2. Got to change the size. There we go. And now with the gray color. And I would like it to be, if I made the opacity very light. So if I just hold it in one place, I can make it a little more opaque just by clicking several times before moving it. So I can control the opacity. I'm going to change it to a yellow color. So I'll just flip the foreground and background color and add some yellow underneath. I think I'm going to make it a little bit larger, and I will now add some white. All right, and I kind of like that cloud, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the opacity of the entire layer, make it a little lighter, and then I think I'll move it over here with my move tool. I think that's pretty cool. Now I see that there's a hard edge here, which I don't want, so I'm going to use my eraser, and I can actually erase using so I'm going to erase using the cloud tool. So I'm going to just make the opacity really low. So instead of erasing it, just lightens it. And I'm going to get rid of that hard edge on this layer. All right, so I'm really liking this. I can move it around, get it where I want it to be. And because it's not entirely opaque, it's going to pick up the colors underneath. Now for this assignment, I don't want to export it. I don't want it to be flat. I just want all the layers because I'm actually going to be bringing it into Adobe Animate and using it as a sky for an animation. And the reason why it's the size that it is, let me just show you image. Image size is it's 16 inches across, which is twice the length of the animation stage in Adobe Animate, and it's 4.5 inches high, which is the exact height of the animation stage. So it's called a parallax background because it's going to actually scroll in the background. So I'm going to hit OK. That's the size I want. And then I'm going to save it. So I'm going to save as, and instead of calling it Parallax Sky template, I'm going to call it Parallax Sky and then my name. So I'll just call it Rachel because that's my name, and I'll hit save. And then I'm going to turn this in, and this is going to function later as a sky in an animation of mine. And because I've kept all the layers separate like this, I'll be able to move the sun, make it rise and set. I'll be able to move the clouds, make them scroll across the sky, and I will be able to actually move the entire background so that it looks like the sky is scrolling as the story proceeds. So I'm going to just hit save, and I'm going to keep it with all these layers as a Photoshop file. And that's my sky tutorial for my setting.